Hi, I'm going to do a little bit of work on this quadcopter, the Dromida Ominus. Find it a brilliant quadcopter. It is virtually indestructible, as I've shown, and you can find loads of stuff on YouTube about it. I do have a problem, and I'm going to show you what the problem is. When I plug it in, all the LEDs come on, everything seems fine. Turn on the transmitter, let it bind. And there we go. There's the motor, nothing moving on the rear right. It will not do anything. Tried everything I can with it to make it work. It just won't do it. So I'm going to do a few things. I'm going to test it first of all to see what's wrong, and then replace a part, which I hope will fix it. First of all, obviously disconnect the battery, take the battery out. With these quadcopters, and I've only been doing this about a month, is you basically, for maintenance, all you need is, a watchmaker's set of screwdrivers, but basically just the one with the small Phillips. Tends to do most things. I'm going to check the motor first of all, so just going to use a little Phillips in here, and then to take it off, this is just a little cover that goes over the actual motor itself and the connection. I'm just going to pull that off, which is actually quite tight. I try and leave the screws in because it just makes life a lot easier, but if they ping off across the room, they are tiny to find. Another little thing I've found is I've nicked this table off the grandkids. When they come around, they're usually drawing on it, and I find it absolutely brilliant for doing any work on the quadcopters because it's so white you can just see anything that you've taken off or put down. It's very easy to clear up afterwards. Where on here I marked which way round the blades go, so that if I change a blade it's just nice and easy to do. Just marked it with a small pen. I'm going to want one that goes in the same direction because I'm just going to basically swap the motors over to see whether it's a motor problem or a board problem. So do the same with this one. As before, a bit easier to get off that one. The motors have got a little tiny, and it is pretty small, connection there, but it is good that it is a connection. I don't have to actually do any soldering or anything, so that's really good. And then it's just literally a pull out there, which is quite tight. There we go. And that means the motor can then come out, and I can swap it for the other one. So do exactly the same over this side. Very simple way of doing it. Again, pull the small connection, keep hold of the connection, on both so that it doesn't strain the wires that are going back to the printed circuit board, which controls the quadcopter. So I'm going to swap that one over with this one, pop it back in, connect it back up. And then do exactly the same with this one. So now in theory, if it's a motor problem, we should have moved the motor problem to the front left, from the rear right. If it's not, then we've got a printed circuit board problem, or perhaps there's a cable come off or something or other. I didn't actually need to remove that, but as you probably know, they're easy to remove. I will just pop the covers back on, just in case. I'm not too sure what would happen here if the motor dropped down, so I'm sure it would be absolutely fine. But being as I don't want to damage the quad anymore, and obviously something's happened to it, we just proceed like that. Again, connect it back up. Turn the transmitter back on. Let it bind. So again, same problem. This one's still giving me problems. Still not working. So, turned off the transmitter. So we've definitely got a printed circuit board problem, or a connection problem, as I say, but definitely not a motor problem. So that's just saved me a few quid anyway. I'm actually going to strip this all out and have a look and see whether I can see what the problem is. these things are quite easy to pull apart, and like the other quadcopters I've found, nothing seems that difficult to take apart and then pop back together again. How many times you could do this, I don't know. When you consider the money involved with these things, I'm gobsmacked that you can do all these things with it and it still bounces back for more. Now I'm just going to undo all of the motor housings and just pop them all over there. Keep all the screws together, like I said earlier. I'm going to have a look. So the one that's the problem is this one, and I'm just going to come down here and just see if there's any problems with the connection from the connector there, because obviously the motor's fine, and it's just that bit there, or perhaps it's on the printed circuit board. So again, just take off the next 4 screws, which actually hold the battery housing in place. Leave the screws in, then you know where they are. And then there we have it. We've got our printed circuit board with the LEDs and everything. These 2 screws here actually hold the top on, which at the moment I don't think we need to take off. I'm a bit surprised that you can screw around the back of a wire, but obviously those wires are absolutely fine. This is the one that's causing the problem. Seems to be still soldered there, so there's not a problem at all. It actually seems okay. Can't actually see any problem with it. So I think what I'll do is take off this cover, and then we can have a look, see if there's anything else we can find with it. Just going to prise that off, and that just covers up the LEDs and gives it its colour. And then, like I say, it's that cable there that would be the problem. Just going to tease that out. And notice the way it's wrapped around, and then just check the cables and everything. There is a problem. I don't know if you can see that, but there is a problem there, just there. The actual cable is frayed basically. Now quite where that's happened, whether or not where it's looped around there, or whether or not it was a screw going in, I don't know, because I haven't done anything to it to create that. So probably that's done something to the printed circuit board, or there's just something wrong with that cable. So could either replace the cable, or I've actually been in contact with Revell in the UK, and they've actually supplied me with a new printed circuit board. So I'm going to give that a go and strip this down and then hopefully change it over. I'm going to use the flat-ended one just to prise these off carefully. They just pop off. And that comes back into there, and the board is actually loose in there. I think the only thing holding it perhaps is these sort of O-rings that are around the LEDs, but I guess that's all that's doing it really. Yeah. I'm just going to prise that little last one off. I have had this apart before, because I had a couple of big crashes with it, and I'm just wondering whether my super glue has got hold of that, which I think it has. So I'm just going to have to prise that off a little bit. There we go. I've actually wound up with it stuck there. If you do have a massive crash, they tend to break here and just across here. So I stuck it back together with, and super glue seems to work really well, and then it makes it all back to its original state, which seems to work really well. There's a new circuit board. I'll just pop this in. There's your antenna, there's your aerial. I'm learning all these things. And then we've got the 4 running out like that, and hopefully this one's got no marks on it. has actually been in another quad by the looks of it, so perhaps they've done some work on it back at the factory. I'm going to pop that little O-ring out because I don't really need it, because I'm going to slide it back into where that one is. Pop that back into there, then squeeze in the next one, and so on. Lastly, into here. I do actually slide in quite well. I'm sure if you've got small dexterous fingers you'd be able to do it by hand, but certainly finding this useful, and it's not damaging the cable either. Just plug that one back in. There we go. I just don't want that to pinch on the wire there, and the same there. So yeah, that does seem like it could pinch there. There we go. And then pop back one of the motor coverings. And they have a little lug just here, as you can see. So that needs to definitely pop in. There we go. You can hear it click in there. And get one of my screws back in. And just screw it back together. That's good. And I'm just going to carry on with that throughout the other three. Let's hope, fingers crossed, this all works. Well, we've got LEDs on, that's a good start. There we go, we're getting the flashing one at the back now. That seemed to take quite a while. Whether or not that's because it's not bound, I don't know. There we go, that should have bound. Hey, look at that! Perfect! Tell you what, these are bulletproof. It's brilliant. Really pleased with that. I must admit, totally impressed with Revell UK, who were really helpful when I discussed it through with him and said I'd change the motors over to try it out. So I'll go out and give this a flight tomorrow, but I mean, as you can see, that is going to fly a lot better. Please leave any comments, and I hope to upload a few more of these if people are interested in this sort of stuff.